Good evening. All I see out there is this big, bright light. Don't go into the light. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is our first ever Connector Award event, and we're so happy to have you here with us tonight. And before I begin, one of the things I'd like to do is thank our sponsors who will be up on the screen. And to our sponsors, thank you so much for your support of Groundwire. Your contribution tonight helped make tonight happen, and we really appreciate your support. I would also like to thank a few people who worked really hard to make this event happen. And for starters, I would like to thank the Groundwire Board of Directors, and especially Sherry Richardson, our board chair, and Wendy Cho-Rip, our fundraising committee chair. And somebody out there, Carol, where are you? Raise your hand. There she is back there. Carol Hudson is an amazing, amazing event coordinator, and she really rocked tonight. It was awesome. And there's somebody else out there who, when I passed my speech over to get edited, she edited her name out. And being the ED and the guy with like the 3 badges on my name tag, I got to put it back in. So Tiffany DeVoy, where are you? Woo! So Tiffany DeVoy is our development director, and Julie Cantrell is our development intern, and they worked unbelievably hard to really make tonight happen. They did all the name tags, logistics, sound, the big bright lights, everything. So great job, Tiffany. Thank you very much. Okay, so those of you that remember Groundwire from our past might think of us as the group that hooks up computers and gets environmental nonprofits onto the internet. Well, I'm here to tell you that was then. Today, we are a leading engagement organization focusing both on strategy and technology for mission-driven organizations that want to scale their impact. We provide engagement strategy consulting to help organizations achieve results by deeply engaging people in their work. And we deliver engagement technology. We deliver databases, websites, email, social media, mobile solutions, because technology enables organizations to engage and mobilize people on an unprecedented scale and with extraordinary precision to have greater impact in the world. We also have deep expertise in social change, and we are unsurpassed in our ability to wield powerful technology for social change. Groundwire has helped more than 1,000 organizations connect to tens of thousands of people over the last 16 years. And yet, as always, there is a lot more to do. Over the last year, we've been asking our peers and our stakeholders to help us find opportunities where we can use our passion, our experience, and our skills to have even a greater impact in the world and on our communities and on our planet. And their feedback was clear. The power, the leverage, the momentum, and even more importantly, the people are there. They do exist if we reach beyond the traditional environmental choir. So we have changed. We expanded our mission, and we're reaching out to new sectors, new communities, and new organizations. We're still very committed to working with the environmental community, but it is simply not the end of our work anymore. We are going broader. And we're seeking uncommon bedfellows in order to make unparalleled progress in the issues that we care about. For example, I want us to work with cancer prevention organizations who are fighting to get cancer-causing chemicals out of the food supply and the environment. I want us to work with asthma organizations to help mobilize some of the 22 million asthma sufferers to fight for clean air. And I want to work with childhood obesity organizations that are working to get kids outdoors, eating healthy food from locally farms. In fact, the opportunities to have an impact on the environment while building thriving, sustainable, and healthy communities are endless. We simply have to broaden our lens and see the environmental issues from human, family, and community perspectives. And so we're doing that. And we have launched a new strategic plan to help make it happen. And speaking of community, you should know, if you don't already, that you live in ecotopia. I said it, ecotopia. As I've traveled around the US, I have discovered that other regions in the US refer to us as ecotopia because they hold us in such high regard for the strength and power of our environmental nonprofit community and the progress that we have made in this region. Let's have a hand for our environmental nonprofits. Our community is strong in part because foundations like Bullitt, Brainerd, Wilberforce, Social Venture Partners, and others have invested not just in programs, but also in technology and capacity. They have also built a culture where nonprofits can take informed risks, where they can be innovative and where they can seize opportunities. And our community is stronger because of it. We're here tonight to honor one of those strong nonprofits. Over the past 5 years, we have worked with the Washington Trails Association to build the very best online engagement technology. At the center is their incredible database of 3,000 hikes and over 35,000 trip reports from their community of hikers. The trip reports act like a Yelp for hikers, who can quickly find out if roads are closed, if wildflowers are out, if trails are crowded, and if dogs are allowed. And it is truly amazing. So last Thanksgiving, my partner was out of town. I was home with a 3-year-old. I couldn't take being cooped up inside anymore. So on Thanksgiving Day, I went to the Washington Trails Association online hiking guide, and I searched for a 3 to 8 mile hike, a kid-friendly hike with waterfalls. That was no more than 45 minutes from my house. And I found Twin Falls. The trip reports confirmed it was good for kids. The photos looked great. And a hiker had just the day before reported that there was water on the trails, but in general, it was in good condition. Max and I went on that hike, and it was magical. A light snow had fallen. My son Max had just turned 3, and this was the first time that he really connected with snow. It was cool. How many of you can remember the very first time that one of your children connected with something that we take for granted every day? It was a very magical moment. So we threw snow at each other, we slipped and slid on bridges, and we tossed snowballs into the river. It was one of the best Thanksgivings ever. And the truth is, I would have not had the patience to find that hike in a book. And more of the truth is, I probably could not have found the book anyway. So I did that hike on Thanksgiving Day because it was easy and convenient to find, and thanks to the trip reports, I knew exactly what I was committing myself and my 3-year-old to. I love the Washington Trails Association. And it turns out, I'm not alone. The Washington Trails Association website traffic has tripled since the launch of their online hiking guide. It now receives more than 2 million visits annually from more than 1 million unique visitors. And in Washington State, that's about 25% of our population. The more than 35,000 trip reports and the dedication of exceptional Washington Trails Association staff keep the content fresh, and that keeps people coming back again and again. And integration with Facebook allows stories to be told, not just within the local community of hikers, but with a global community of friends. And Facebook now accounts for more than 100,000 visits to the website every year. So all of these online numbers really make a difference when we see hikers engaging in greater numbers offline, in trail maintenance programs, events like Trails and Ales, and when they're advocating for trails and conservation both locally and federally. Washington Trails Association's investment has been a huge success. They are an outstanding example of engagement in action. They took an informed risk, they invested in innovation, and it paid off for them and our community. Please join me in honoring the Washington Trails Association with the Groundwire Connector Award for Engagement Leadership.
Hi. Thank you, Neal, and thank you to the staff and the board of Groundwire for selecting Washington Trails Association for this award. It's quite humbling in a city that is as wired as Seattle, and given the caliber of organizations that you all consult with and work with, that you would choose us for the inaugural Connector Award. So we're truly appreciative of this recognition. Last Friday, we gave out a couple of awards of our own. 6 WTA trail work volunteers were recognized for volunteering on 250 trail work parties. Yeah, imagine. We also had 2 volunteers with WTA awarded into our Crosscut Saw Club. These are people who have volunteered 500 work parties with us. And 1 volunteer, Pete Dool, became the first member of our Golden Rock Bar Club and had just completed his 1,000th work party. And I think it's fair to say that Pete Dool has reached the top of our engagement ladder. That's what this award is about. It's about the impact. It's about people like Pete, people who give a part of themselves for a cause that they're passionate about, people who are truly connecting with the public lands that they hike on. When we first launched our trip reports about 10 years ago, we had no idea what Web 2.0 was. We didn't know that we were building the foundation for an online community of hikers that would grow to over 1 million people a year. This year, hikers have logged almost 5,000 trip reports on their hikes here in Washington State, and hundreds of thousands more have read those trip reports and planned hikes. What we've learned over the years working with Groundwire, shout out to John Baldvieso, who's been a great team player with us, really a mastermind. We've learned that engagement is not about getting people to jump on your bandwagon. It's not acquiring Facebook fans. It's not keeping track of your Twitter retweets. It's real online engagement happens when you loosen your grip, when you give up control a little bit and trust in your audience. You have to give people a voice in your organization, not just for show, but for real. And you have to let them have a stake in the outcome and ownership of your cause. Thank you.
So cool. All right. So now I'm really thrilled, even more thrilled than I was before, because I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker, Ms. Rue Mapp, who I spent the afternoon with, and she's awesome. So Rue is a program officer at the Foundation for Youth Investment, where she oversees funding support to support California organizations that are connecting underserved youth to the outdoors. Rue is a mother of 3 and an outdoor enthusiast. She was named the National Wildlife Federation's Wildlife Champion of the Month in September, and she was also recently invited to join the National Park Service Committee on Relevancy. Rue participated in the historic White House Conference on America's Great Outdoors and on Mrs. Obama's Let's Move campaign. She believes participation across generations is the only way to foster outdoor stewardship. In 2009, Rue founded Outdoor Afro, which all of you who got my email, I put my subject because it's a cool name, and I knew it would get your attention. Outdoor Afro is an online community that reconnects African Americans with natural spaces and one another through recreational activities such as camping, hiking, fishing, gardening, skiing, and more. The website was really a natural outcome of her experience as a young person growing up outdoors and her 2 decades of using digital and social media to connect with people who share her outdoor interests. Like Washington Trails Association, Outdoor Afro has fostered a community that has a voice, strength, and influence. We are so excited to have her with us here tonight. Please join me in welcoming Rumap.
All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue...
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. I just want to take a moment and thank the Groundwire staff and board for bringing me here. When I got that call from Neal telling me about the work that Groundwire does, I was like, oh yeah. So thank you for all of your hard work and effort. And also, I appreciate that you've brought together such an amazing and inspiring community of people who are making a difference. So I really appreciate being in this wonderful company. And I also celebrate with you tonight the honoree, the Washington Trails Association. Good job. So this room brings together individuals with a legacy rooted in a passion for nature and technology. At the heart of my work, it matters to remember our own historic and personal connections to nature. I also come from a call and response tradition. So at this point, I would like to invite you to call out the names of your first environmental and nature teacher. Just shout them out. It could be an author. Don't be shy. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. I now want to welcome technology into the room. You are free to leave your smartphones on. I want you to tweet, text, and post any part of this conversation as we're having it. So no eye contact necessary. That's refreshing, isn't it? I know I would not be here or have the passion for nature and technology had it not been for my first nature teachers, my parents, who are no longer with us, AC and Ella Mae Levias. I have to admit, I did not know the legacy of John Muir or Rachel Carson, but I had Harriet Tubman, who knew how to guide hundreds of slaves safely to freedom based on a close and intuitive relationship to nature. I had George Washington Carver, an artist, environmentalist, and teacher. He taught his students how to make compost out of leaves and trash and garbage long before the 20th century organic gardening movement took foot. And in the year of my birth, Marvin Gaye, whose melodic voice plaintively asked, "What's going on? What's going on with our ecology?" And I had my grannies and papas, aunts, uncles, cousins, who all contributed to my knowledge of the ways of nature. So my parents had this working farm. I grew up in Oakland, and we had a farm about 100 miles north, and we went there every other weekend. And we had cows, and we had pigs, and we had a walnut orchard that was about 6 acres. And we had no TV. So I had lots of unstructured time in nature. I rode my bike along country roads. I was able to observe the life cycle of a tadpole into a frog. It was my laboratory. And my dad was an avid hunter and a fisher, and he put my first fishing pole in my hand when I was 3. Back home in the city, I was a Girl Scout, and I participated in as many rec and park programs as I could. And I was also an early adopter of technology that started with a sixth grade graduation present from my parents of a Commodore computer. Therefore, my social media road began at 5 kilobytes and 1 megahertz. So a childhood filled with outdoor experiences reached a high point in the backcountry of the Sierra Nevadas. I was on a mountaineering trip. We were expected to do a climb, and I had never rock climbed before. I found myself on the side of a mountain. I didn't have a headlight, and it was dusk, and I was slow. And as I got up midway, I couldn't see anymore. I didn't think I could carry on. I didn't know what was below me or what was above me. And at the point of my breakdown, because I did have a breakdown, my instructor, he leaned over and he said, "Rue, trust your feet." Something clicked, and I made it to the top. And I made it without seeing the path ahead. And at 20 years old, at the brink of adulthood, that was the lesson I needed to learn, that I could trust what was within me to lead me in life. And it was at that moment that I discovered nature as a compelling teacher. Around that time, it was around the early 90s, I was also connecting to the World Wide Web at about 14.4 baud. I was a part of the Usenet groups. I was working the mailing lists, trying to find people like me who wanted to engage with nature. But when social media came on the scene, it leveled the playing field of connection. It allowed me to share and exchange information unlike ever before and with exactly who I wanted. In 2009, I had a conversation with a friend, and she asked a question because she knew I was not quite sure what my next steps were going to be. And she asked me the question that I think we all need to ask ourselves at some point or another, and that was, what would you do with yourself if you had all the time and all the money in the world? And I just rattled off, I'd probably start a website to connect African Americans to the outdoors. And she looked at me like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it was in that moment that I realized she wouldn't know because I never really let that out. So urgently, within a week, Outdoor Afro was born. And I started it with just a blogger blog. And at first, Outdoor Afro was really about my own personal sharing, how I, as a mother, was getting out in the outdoors, about my history. But the site quickly became a place where people from all over the country stood up to be counted and said, "Me too." And then when I realized when you put all of those who thought they were the only ones together, were actually quite numerous. So today, Outdoor Afro is not only about shifting the popular representation of who gets outdoors, but it's also about building community. And it's a community that people have come to trust through dialogue and relevant content, much like the Washington Trails Association has created. And I'm delighted that people are using the site to get outdoors, right in their own backyard, so that they no longer have to be the only one. As the conversation and engagement with an Outdoor Afro has deepened, I have also come to appreciate the similarities between nature and social media, how the success of each one depends on diverse, organic, and sustainable connections. In the same way that I understand how birds and other wildlife thrive in diverse, healthy habitat, so too does online social change need to be connected to many platforms, audiences, and allies to grow and be resilient to the whims of trend. I was never interested in begging for or buying an audience for Outdoor Afro. In the same way I shy away from using Miracle-Gro to create monster tomatoes in my garden. But in the end, Outdoor Afro is not about me or how many likes it earns on Facebook, but it's about a long view that aims to shift the culture toward a passionate and relevant connection to nature for everyone. Right now in our country, we are in the grips of an important movement and an opportunity for transformation, the Occupy movement. And it's very wedded to social media. The Twitter hashtag, Occupy, has captured the imagination of everyone. I even heard my own children saying they were gonna go Occupy Halloween instead of trick or treat. Hello? But of course, being me, I reflect on nature, the outdoors, and notice the irony of how Occupy protesters in my hometown of Oakland and in every urban hub are also making themselves visible outdoors by camping. And they're doing so in public plazas all over the country. A great American campout indeed. But as I sat home about a week and a half ago with my kids, following the events, frightening events happening in Oakland on Twitter, not TV, Twitter, I also contemplated what alternatives we might have to occupy peace in our lives. How can we balance the economic and social pain that has really touched us all? With African American participation recorded as low as 1% in the national park system, I thought of the 99% of people who look like me, those who do not benefit from this public and important resource that holds the possibility of personal enrichment and sustainability in ways you can't even put a dollar sign on. Therefore, it's my goal to do my part to help generate a future where people of all ages and of every hue know that not only public plazas, but also parks and wild spaces are their inheritance and theirs to benefit from and support. So, standing on the shoulders of our environmental teachers whose names still fill this room under the sound of my voice, leveraging our access to technology and remembering our rich experiences in the outdoors, I invite you now to help more people occupy nature. Imagine the part you will play to make this happen. Won't you join me? Thank you.
Thank you, Rue. Thank you, Rue, for sharing your story and your insights on how to build strong communities that are dedicated to protecting and enjoying our natural outdoors. Thank you. Well, now it's my turn. My name is Joe Neal Custodio, a board member with Groundwire, and I'll share a little story for a highlight for tonight. It's personal. 2 years ago, I was struck by lightning. Close, but not exactly. About 15 feet, lightning hit the ground next to our dining table. The sound, the crashing sound was deafening. It was really scary. The tremors, the shrieks. Now granted, a lot of it came from me. Given the situation, it called for it. I was screaming like a baby. But the energy and the smell of that burnt air was unforgettable. And the power and brilliance of that lightning, just awesome. You know, I share that story because every time I say our name, Groundwire, that story comes back to my mind. And I think of the tremendous power that the earth possesses and that we're trying so hard to protect. Both the incredible power of that lightning as well as the balance of the strong ground that harnesses and channels that energy. See, the work that we do at Groundwire reflects our name. The ground part of us is the concrete, practical, soulful side. And then the wire part, it's that future-oriented, innovative, inspirational, exciting part. Groundwire, it's a great name. Well, that near-death experience led me to consider the impact and my legacy that I like to leave behind. You know, beyond my family and my friends, what's really important to me? You know, as an individual, what could I do? Much like Rue. Well, being originally from Seattle, I'm a natural outdoor enthusiast. Love it, love our seasons, love our space. But the environment as a teacher and a companion has always been important to me. And so, I decided to become an advocate for the environment, to speak on its behalf. And so I took the effort to learn more about different issues, the effects of dams, renewable energy, healthy eating. And I started to share that interest and passion with my friends, people I cared most about across the country. And I started researching different organizations that were doing great work and making a difference, learning about their missions and how they actually go about their work. And I started getting informed, getting excited, and feeling good about things. I started feeling alive. But I sensed that there was more that I could do. So as fate would have it, that natural curiosity to find organizations that are doing things well and making a difference, that led me right here to Groundwire. You see, here's the exciting part. Groundwire helps environmental organizations do things better. You know, they help achieve results through effective engagement strategy and technologies. Groundwire is a game-changing partner, and we're game changers. When you see these developers and these strategists, they're game changers. They give organizations the power to engage and mobilize people to bring about social change, and you've heard this, on an unprecedented scale. It's incredible. Groundwire, here, we understand how to leverage technology so our social change organizations, they don't have to worry about that. They can just make it work. I'm really proud to be part of this organization. I feel a new sense of aliveness that combines the energy that I feel with, and I think many of us share this, with nature, with technology, and with people power. You see, in this room, we're surrounded by people who understand how to move personal relationships into a positive movement for our environment. That's incredible. That's why I'm also glad to be here with you tonight, because we have a shared goal. We all are preserving the gift of our environment for ourselves, for our future. So speaking of shared goals and gifts, this is the exciting part. I hope you'll all join me tonight to give a gift to Groundwire. You see, the strategies and technologies that Groundwire provides our partners and clients, they depend on the philanthropic support of people like us, people who believe that social change organizations need and deserve awesome online engagement tools like those available to corporations. As an added incentive, I'm proud to say that longtime Groundwire supporters, Gideon and CJ Rosenblatt, they will be giving us a tremendous gift, a matching gift challenge. So for all of us that give tonight, it'll be matched, which is great. But for those that give for the first time, there will be a 3-to-1 match. How incredible is that? Thank you, Gideon, CJ. So I encourage each of you to pick up those pledge forms on your seats, along with a pen. And as you fill them out, consider the change that you're making with our community of social changers. And today's your moment to start that legacy, start making an impact. And what's great about tonight, there's no lightning bolt required here. It's right on you. Now, before you leave tonight, by the place where you picked up your name tags, there are baskets out there to leave your envelopes and your generous donations. We thank you for that. But once again, we'd like to say thank you to Rue Mapp for your inspiring story, your tremendous work. A strong congratulations to the Washington Trails Association for your well-deserved award. And a hearty thanks to each one of you for joining Groundwire tonight for our first annual Connector Award event. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next year to celebrate our continued success. Thank you for supporting Groundwire. Thank you for supporting our environment, and thank you for being here. Have a great night.
Mingle, drink, have fun.